I see that you decided to continue your journey on mental health and now you're ready to find that right therapist for you. But now comes the most important question. Online therapy versus in-person therapy. What is the difference? What are the benefits? What are the downsides? And which one is actually the right choice for you? Now, the first thing that comes into mind is accessibility. With the new PSY Act, a lot of therapists are licensed in more than one state, so they can serve more people. I don't know if you fall in this category or not, but a lot of time when I used to call to make an appointment with a therapist, there were always a long waiting period of time because everybody was booked up. But now with the PSY Act, all other therapists from other states can see clients in different states, but that's only available through online therapy. So anywhere that there is an internet connection, you are most likely able to find the right therapist for you. That's a huge plus where I think online therapy gets a huge check mark versus in-person therapy may be limited to some geographical location and it might not be available all over the place, especially if you live in a remote place. It might be difficult even to travel to your destination or to your therapist. But with accessibility comes a little bit of issues because let's say you're in your house, you're talking to your therapist, and if you do not have a safe environment that you can truly be yourself, and by safe, I don't mean safe in the sense of I'm not safe or I'm not protected, even though that's also the case too. But if you're at home and let's say your parents walks in or your spouse walks in or somebody else walks into the room, then you might not have that privacy. So you gotta ask yourself, do I have a safe environment that I can truly be myself during my therapy session? Online therapy might give you a little bit of leverage in terms of accessibility and being able to reach the right therapist that might fit your need, because sometimes with the location that we are, we might not find a therapist that we can truly click. And it's really important that when you're finding a therapist, you'll be able to actually click with them. That's the most important thing. If you don't click with your therapist and you only have one therapist in your area that you could actually go to, that's just gonna push you back because now you're gonna be more resistant to therapy, because when you go to therapy, you might not get the result that you want. So keep in mind about accessibility, the things that you have versus the things that you don't have. Next thing that is kind of hand in hand with accessibility, it comes availability. Online therapy, it's pretty much 24/7. There is always a therapist that is willing to see you regardless of the time. Maybe not the therapist that you find, but if you Google online therapy, you can find a therapist 24/7, regardless of what time you're trying to seek therapy. Versus in-person therapy, it's usually between 8 or 9 a.m. to 6 or 7 afternoon. I'll be very surprised if they come earlier than that or if they stay later than that. But availability, online therapy, it's 24/7 and you could do it anywhere at your house or anywhere that you are, versus in-person therapy, it's usually the timing has to be really rigid. And I know when I was going to therapy back then, like a couple years ago when I was still in school and I had a full-time job, it was literally impossible for me to go to therapy because first of all, they didn't have the time slot that I wanted it, and the time that they did have for me was usually the worst time possible, that I had to either call out sick, get a sick call from work, or I had to miss one of my classes. So with the introduction of online therapy, as it became more and more kind of norm, it was much more easier for me. So think about your availability. What times are you available to see a therapist versus the times that, you know what, you're not available? And you got to be realistic with yourself. How long can you wait to see the therapist? So availability comes, I think that's the second most important thing. And the third most important thing is privacy. And sometimes, now I know in my case that I had this issue. When I was going to therapy, I didn't want to see anyone. I felt awkward to go inside of this building, and it usually was this huge building, and I had to go to the floor that the therapist was there and go sit in a waiting room. And I think with online therapy, you don't have to deal with this. You don't have to have anyone know that, oh, you're going over there to a therapist. So with online therapy, it's no one's business. It's just you and your computer. So think about this as you're trying to plan if you should go to online therapy or in-person therapy. Because with in-person therapy, there is no guarantee that you would avoid running into someone. It doesn't matter how discreet you are, there is a possibility that you will run into someone and you have to engage a conversation. And if you don't feel okay with that, if you don't feel safe doing that, maybe online therapy again gets a huge check mark. Now, when it comes to comfort and safety, online therapy, it sometimes gives you the comfort because you're at home. You're doing everything that you want, so you are comfortable. You're in your pajamas, you're doing your own thing, drinking your coffee out of your mug. But when it comes to safety, that's research has been done, and they actually have proven that clients feel more safe when they are in a safe space like a therapist office. They feel more safe because they feel like this is my room. Like when I was going to therapy, one thing that I really liked was that even though I wasn't comfortable because I had to change, I had to miss out my work or cancel my class, but I felt safe. I felt like me and my therapist really clicked. And I'm so sad that I had to terminate that because I came to another state, but different story. But I felt safe because the environment was built in a way that makes you feel comfortable. They usually have like nice painting on the wall. They have like little fidgeting toys. There's always smells really good, and they have like this aroma thing going on that at least my therapist had. And that's where it comes to searching the place that you're going to. They usually offer 15 minutes consultation, so take advantage of that before scheduling your first session to just go and check out the place. If you're deciding to go in person, safety, I think clients, based on research and also my perspective, people feel more safe in an environment that they get detached from everything. Because although in your own home you feel comfortable, but usually a change of environment allows us to better represent what we're going through in a more cohesive way. Versus if you're going to therapy in your own home, you might bring a little bit of baggage with you. You might bring a little bit of attachments with you. You might bring a little bit of resistance into expressing yourself, because maybe the source of your issues might be where you live. And because of that, you have to ask yourself, is it really balanced or not? So this is something that I think it takes an important thinking decision. Now, when it comes to therapeutical relationship with online therapy, unfortunately, it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna take a little bit time because you're not physically there. Even if you're doing video chat, even if you're doing everything that you can, building a healthy therapeutical relationship in an online environment might take longer. And that might be because we're not yet there to be able to truly express ourselves and feel comfortable, versus in-person therapy, you're physically there. Everything is happening right there and then. So it's much more easier to build that healthy therapeutical relationship so you get to your destination or to your goal sooner. That again goes hand in hand in different situations, but usually majority of time, if you are planning to go online therapy, be prepared for that little introduction period to take a little bit longer. When it comes to treatment quality, online therapy can create a very safe, effective environment to give you the best quality of therapy. But there are some limitations, especially if the person that's going to seek therapy, or if you are seeking therapy and you have suicidal ideation or some complex issues, might be better addressed in person, where there is an actual environment, a controlled environment that you can be free and go through your emotion and come back down in a healthy way. Because here's the thing, when we start online therapy or when we start in-person therapy or any type of therapy, the goal for the client, this is their normal, to come into the session, go through their emotion, and then this is the middle of the session, they reach their highest emotion, and then therapist is supposed to help the client bring their emotion down to their normal self. Sometimes in a complex issue, that might be a little bit hard. So it's important that when you're seeking therapy, understand what type of relationship they have, what type of relationship you are planning to build, and what type of treatment are you seeking to be able to best give you the support that you actually need. Now, in terms of cost, which that's really important, online therapy, it's much more cheaper than in-person therapy. Now, don't get me wrong, there are places online that they offer therapy which are extremely expensive, but in contrary, there are places that are very affordable. Versus in-person therapy, it's usually a little bit higher in the value. And if you have just one therapist in your area or two therapists in your area, whatever cost they set, that's the cost. So with online therapy, you have more option to leverage the things that you have. There are programs that you join, there are different subscription, like now they have, like, I think there are a couple of websites that offer subscription therapy that you could have. But all in all, online therapy is usually the cheaper option. Now, when it comes to emergency support, again, goes back to the last step that I, 2 steps ago that I discussed. Online therapy might not be the best choice, because when it comes to crisis, it's important that you are there. So if there is any emotion that comes up that you might not be able to handle, a therapist needs to be there to provide you the support that you need. So if you're thinking of going or seeking therapy because of a crisis, because of a trauma, I would recommend seeking in-person therapy, because they can provide you a better support. Technology requirement. Technology requirement, it's a must. If you're seeking online therapy, you have to have certain type of tech. I don't believe at this point no therapist offers a computer when you sign up with them, but technology is a must. Now, if you're a veteran and or if you're in the military and if you're seeking therapy, VA might be able to help you with acquiring a proper or appropriate technology to be able to go to your sessions, but technology is something that you must have at hand, and you must have a basic knowledge and understanding of how to operate it. By you watching this video, I can assume that you have that under control. And lastly, suitability. Again, online therapy, you could pretty much kind of make it how you want it to be. With online therapy, you have a choice. You could do what you want. You could seek what you want. You could find what you want. You could choose a time that you want. You could do the things that you want. You could be at your own house. You could just do you. Versus in-person therapy, some limitation, some things might apply. So all in all, it's all up to you. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. What matters is you finding the right help that you need. Along the way, ask yourself which one works best for you. My recommendation, here's something that I did. I was a traditional therapist seeker and I used to go to in-person therapy, but when option came, I tried a 15 minutes online consultation. It's free. A lot of therapists offer it. So try a 15 minutes online therapy consultation and see how it feels. If you haven't gone in-person therapy, get a 15 minutes free consultation. Go to your therapist. See what they have. See how the office looks, how you feel. Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel at home? Does it give you the space that you can truly be yourself? So thank you for watching. And by the way, I made this video right here about finding the best therapist for you, that what type of therapy you should consider, what type of therapist you might help you achieve your goal. As always, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget, watch this video next.